guess we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Henry Lewis III. I reside in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm the founder and owner of Lewis Wellness Solutions, where I provide nutrition care and wellness coaching designed to help you promote health. As Black people, we are inventors, we are healers, educators, entrepreneurs, even presidents, vice presidents, and first ladies. We are extraordinary and have always been. Each February, we honor Black history by celebrating Black excellence from then and now. Tonight, my classmates and I want to do just that and also honor Heart Health Month as we discuss some important matters that will advance the lives of our people so that we can continue to be great. Heart health in the Black community. We are a group of second year clinical nutrition graduate students who will showcase much of the nutrition and lifestyle knowledge we have gained over the last 17 months. And we hope to educate, entertain, and inspire you to be as healthy as you can be. As we converse, feel free to ask questions in the chat and we'll answer as many as we can. As a disclaimer, all of our views are our own and not of our institution. Okay. So to start, I'd like to let everyone else introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with who I can see first, which is Kelly. So, Kelly, can you introduce yourself, where you're from, and what your career interests are?
Yes, I can. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Banneker. I am the owner and founder of Prep by Kelly Renee's, where I prepare you for wellness using education and my love for all things culinary. I merge it together to give you actionable tips on how to take care of any chronic illnesses that you may have, as far as lifestyle interventions and also nutritional, or I'll say wellness advice.
Awesome. And did you say where you're from too?
Oh, no, I didn't. I currently reside in Salisbury, North Carolina, by way of Long Island, New York.
Awesome. Thank you. Beth.
Hey, everybody. I am Beth Fagans. People call me Coach B. I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I reside in Decatur area. This is where I have my studio. I'm sitting in my studio now. 24 years in the industry. Yesterday makes 24 years for me. Heart health is where I started, cardiac rehab. My undergraduate degree is in exercise science. And I am matriculating to Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine as a clinical nutrition student. And heart health means the best health to me. Heart health is the best health. That's my take on it.
Thank you, Beth. Philip?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Philip Banks, originally from Chicago, Illinois, 21-year Navy veteran, and pretty new to the field. The last, I would say, 5 to 7 years, I've been involved in the nutrition studies. However, practicing nutrition itself for the last 2 decades. So I'm looking to, continue my learning with the college and my classmates, and upon graduation, to go ahead and do private practice or work with VA to help other veterans. So that's my introduction. I hope you all enjoy this. This really means a lot, and we need this. So awesome. Thanks, Henry.
Thank you. Crystal?
Hello, my name is Crystal Harrison. I currently live in Marshall, Texas. I was born in Louisiana, in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I'm not new to the healthcare field, but I am new to the nutrition field. I worked at the hospital as a patient care technician and a unit clerk. So I worked with had a lot of patients, and I love caring for people. And my career interest would be either to work in public health, similar to WIC, with families and children to counsel them on nutritional needs. And my definition of heart health, what heart health means to me, is really staying healthy, getting fit, and eating the right foods.
That's
And
right. Thank you. Thank you. Michaela?
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Michaela. So I got into this through fitness and health and wellness. My mother is a personal trainer, so I've always just been in the whole health and wellness arena. I now am also a personal trainer and a certified nutrition coach, and so I've just always been interested, and I wanted to really up the ante and dig deeper and help with even bigger issues than just the aesthetics and whatnot. So I intend to um, not only do maybe some public health type events and speaking and just really spreading the word on health, especially in our community, but I also hope to do, like clinical work, have my own practice and help people individually. So heart health to me is circulation, oxygenation of the body, getting the nutrients to where it needs to be in the body and optimal functionality, overall
Mm-hmm.
functionality. So it's really important and it's interesting how it's like one of the number one reasons that we all get kind of taken out of here. So it's really important that we do that we really pay attention to our heart health.
Right, right.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And I also wanted to give Kelly and Philip a chance to answer that question too. What does heart health mean to you?
Uh, Pretty much, I agree with Michaela. Getting to getting the nutrients to where they need to be. I mean, how do they get there? They get there through the blood. So what moves the blood? A healthy heart. So that's what it means to me. You take care of your heart and other vital organs, you'll most likely have some good health down the road,
Right, right,
or increase your chances. Put it like
right,
that.
right.
Right.
Kelly?
And for me, heart health, when I think of heart health, I kind of think of overall health because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things that determine the health of the heart. And as I was sitting here thinking about what health meant to me, or heart health, health is the state of a total well-being in your body where
Right.
there's nothing wrong with you or the absence of disease. And when we think about our heart and we think about health, there's so many factors that lead to what can damage our heart, from stress, lifestyle factors, risk factors, and all other things. So one of the things that I think heart health to me is almost whole health. How do I feel mentally, physically, and emotionally? And
Mm-hmm.
depending on how I feel in all those areas will determine how I feel in my heart.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. Heart health is total health and wellness. As we know, the heart pumps blood and nutrients to the entire body, as many of you all said. So if the heart's not working well, other parts of the body are not going to work well. And then as
Hmm.
a complete body, you're not going to work well. So I
Hmm.
love that. Thank you, everyone. So we know what heart health is, but what is not heart health? And when I say that, I'm thinking heart disease. Okay, heart disease as an umbrella term for various heart conditions. Coronary artery disease being the most common type. Um, Coronary artery disease occurs when cholesterol builds up in the arteries that lead to the heart, which reduces blood supply to the heart. Heart disease can lead to heart failure, also known as congestive heart failure. And this is where the heart cannot pump efficiently to the rest of the body, kind of what we were talking about before. Heart disease is the leading cause of death among Americans. It is the leading cause of death among African Americans. And in 2018, African Americans were 30% more likely to die from heart disease than non Hispanic whites. What are your thoughts on really any of this?
It's the Western diet. It's the standard American diet, the
Mm-hmm.
sad diet, the diet that, is ridden with sat fats, the diet that's ridden with processed foods, refined sugars, sugar,
What is sat fats, just for our listeners? What's that?
saturated fats,
Okay.
your heavy animal fats,
Mm-hmm.
and the Western diet. I mean, there are some components that we can take advantage of, but then there's some components that can really harm you over time
Mm-hmm.
and cause disease,
Yeah.
clog arteries, as you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the Western diet, I mean, we're surrounded by it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you drive down the street to your local grocery store. How many fast food places are you going to pass?
Right.
Too
And
many.
what are fast food places? Mostly have in there fried foods. Animal fat, probably the least amount of vegetables or fruits that you can, that you need. So, and we do glorify, not we, but the country, right? So it's glorified. It's glorified. You see it on the commercials. How many commercials do you see with, hamburgers dripping with cheese and the latest and greatest chicken wings and fries? I mean, those are your saturated fats right there. And then with the Dairy Queen commercials, just, not singling out Dairy Queen, but ice cream commercials, high in sugar. So, that's our typical Western diet. And to be honest, I don't think we have a true diet such as, the Mediterranean diet
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, Southeast Asia, like how they eat in Southeast Asia, or, there's a certain diet that they follow, certain
Mm-hmm.
traditions and cultures that they follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll see if you go to those countries, which I have been, you'll see those types of restaurants. You'll see a KFC over there. You'll see a Burger King, but it's not, it's more of a tourist attraction than anything. So they're not indulging in that nightly like, or your average Americans are.
Right.
I do think things are getting better, and people are getting more health conscious and aware, but we still need to, push away from that. So,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
As I always say, I'm in Atlanta, so don't forget the lemon pepper wets.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
don't forget the chicken and waffles.
Right.
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 Right? All
Yeah.
those traditional Southern foods that provide comfort, that provide,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
Sunday dinner with the 3 cheese macaroni and cheese it's okay. Marginal at best. Not
Right.
every day, not every week, but
Right.
we've been inundated with just different types of foods thrown in. It tastes better when it's fried,
Mm-hmm.
fried
Right.
pickles, fried,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
deep fried. Not just fried, but it's deep,
Deep.
whatever that means. So,
Yeah. Deep.
yeah, I mean that typical diet is really it's alarming. It's alarming.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, Philip, I think as a whole we're coming to grips with it being alarming.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming to grips and we're sounding the alarm, but it being not the best.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best.
One of
Well,
the things go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, other than the fact that being aware, it's how can I put this? We do glorify it, and it just seems like we can't get away from it because we've created an environment that we rely on it so much. You
Mm-hmm.
know, our society's created the busy lifestyle. Not enough time to cook and prepare nutritious meals, so we rely heavily on those convenience foods
Mm-hmm.
that are not, good for us, saturated, high sugar, high caloric. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say to that point actually is that, just with when we do our case management plans and all of our case studies in general with our classes, I'm noticing a common theme, which is the majority of our clients say they cannot cook.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
and we know that the more you cook your food, the less salt,
Mm-hmm.
refined sugar. I mean, yeah, we're gonna if we're making fried chicken, of course we're gonna put that kind of stuff in it,
Yeah.
but we're gonna put probably less in it than if we were to buy that at, a fast food restaurant or just a restaurant in general. But again, I'm noticing that a lot of people don't know how to cook, and I don't think that I ever realized that that was a big issue. And I think that alone could reduce, if people just knew how to cook, we probably could reduce a lot of these issues.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Mhm.
that's a big thing that gets passed down. Like
Mhm.
generations, I've noticed, at
Yeah.
least recently, is that folks aren't being really taught how to cook, and the stuff that they are taught how to cook is like not the best
Mhm.
types of foods. Like
Right.
even there's a lot of crap in the grocery stores, but and that's kind of what you're taught. And you almost really have to take the initiative to go out and learn about the types of foods and things in foods that are good, especially for that heart health
Right,
Mm.
right, right.
situation. But
And then at the same time, when, with with them not cooking, they're getting processed foods, they're getting, um, foods that they can put in the microwave that's easier for them to, like I said, convenience foods that is at
Mhm.
the store, and then, so refined grains and yeah, that's one thing too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think we just created that environment. You know, the environment's been it's been formed for us, and we just need to fight back, push back against it. I mean, every once in a while, no way am I saying that it's never okay to indulge. I mean, everybody should be able to have a treat every now and again if they want it,
Mhm.
but not the main staple of a diet.
Mhm.
Right, right,
Beth,
right.
did you say that? Like, every week or not every week? Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, if you want that traditional Southern Sunday dinner, it's fine every once in a while, but majority of your eating should be, you know, we'll put the words healthy on there.
Mhm.
And
We'll
I mean, you know
clarify.
what we do. We like flavor. So we
Right.
Exactly.
like
Absolutely.
sauces. We like
Mhm.
salt.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We like, what is it? Scattered, smothered, covered. No offense, Waffle
Mhm.
House. And we do it. We do it, and it tastes good because fat is very satisfying,
Yes, it is.
Right.
satiating. It
Yes.
just
Yeah.
tastes
Mhm.
good,
Yeah.
Right.
and
Mhm.
we've grown up with those
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
traditions,
Mhm.
and like you were saying, Michaela, it's like it's very traditional. Philip, I think you were
Mhm.
saying it too. How I watched my grandmother cook.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I watched my big mama cook. I
Right.
watched, and that's how you pass. Yeah, you were saying that. That's how you pass along these
Right.
recipes, these generational recipes. That's not how my mom did it. She put lard in it. Oh,
yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay, I got it.
And
Right.
now,
So,
Mhm.
and those are the things that have been passed down. But how do we
Mhm.
well,
break that cycle?
yeah, and that's when you look back at the grandparents and the elders, and you notice, now that you're older, like how many of them had the health problems.
Mhm.
Where did they come from? Did it come from that style of eating? I mean, granted, there were less processed foods back then. Still, there was a such thing as
Right.
sugar and fat, or saturated fat, I should say, clarify. But and that was heavily used, and salt. Salt. I think we need to kind of broaden our horizons with herbs and spices.
Mhm.
Instead of just using salt. Going salt is the go-to. I mean, there's seasoning salt, there's garlic salt.
Mhm.
You
That.
know,
Mhm.
there's so much salt. But what about the actual spices,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
herbs?
Right.
Things that give
Mhm.
it that
Hmm.
flavor. So
Right, right.
yeah.
Absolutely. Phil, when you brought up an excellent point. When I was writing things down and when I was thinking about the diet, a lot of times we do use seasoned salt, garlic salt. Then we have to do the Tony Chachere Cajun seasoning. Then we're gonna put on some smoked rub on our chicken wings. Then we did the
Yeah.
Montreal
Yeah.
steak seasoning. Then they got Montreal chicken seasoning. Then Kinder's has all these seasonings. And so a lot of times people use these seasoning blends versus
Mhm.
using plain herbs and spices. And another thing that I do want to point out also is like I said, I'm from New York, and they always say people from New York have to let you know that they're from New York, like multiple times. But I the way I grew up, my dinner was literally a meat, a starch, and a vegetable. So it might have been baked chicken, parsley potatoes, and some type of steamed vegetable.
So
When
Kelly,
hmm
I don't mean to cut you off, but you said meat, a starch, and a vegetable. And now, what was the greatest portion of what? Like, what was the what did your
um,
plate look like? Did you have more meat than anything, or because
No, it was like it was a bunch of us children. So, like it was probably like maybe two chicken legs, depending on how old you were. Maybe like about that much of potatoes and then like that much of vegetables. So the
okay,
starch and the vegetable probably had the same amount.
okay,
And so my mom, I tell people all the time, I did not eat like this. I ate potato salad, collard greens,
Mm-hmm.
candy yams,
oh yeah,
uh, mac and cheese only 3 times a year, y'all. Christmas, Thanksgiving, and maybe Easter. That's the only time I saw those foods in my house.
Mm.
We never had Sunday dinner. It could have just been the way that I was raised because my father is from South Carolina originally, his family, and my mom's family is from Delaware. So maybe because they were born and raised in New York, maybe that had something to do with it. But I had never seen the influx of these foods during the regular week. I remember one of my church members, I had asked her randomly on a Monday what she was eating for dinner. And she told me she was eating potato salad or making potato salad. And I clutched my pearls and I was like, potato salad on a Monday? Like it was
Not on a Monday though.
on Monday.
yes, it's a Monday. It's something that I want to eat. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I mean, this was years ago. And I remember the way that we were laughing about it because she looked at me like I was so crazy. But it has a lot to do. It is so rooted in tradition.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people say, oh, we eat this way because our ancestors ate this way. So it should be fine. Not realizing that the pigs that we ate, the cows that we ate, the vegetables that our ancestors ate were all produced on the land that they lived on.
It's real food.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
a lot cleaner.
Absolutely. So it's something different from a pig that was raised in your yard versus a pig that grew up on the Smithfield hog farm. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right,
And so I think a lot of times we use that as an excuse, what our ancestors say, or this is tradition. And like somebody did say, like you did bring up, Henry, about the education and the lack of knowing how to cook. And it's almost sometimes even time. People don't have time to cook sometimes.
That's the biggest. Yeah.
And they may not know how to implement meal planning into their week schedule. A lot of times we think that we have to take the whole thing and do the whole thing all at one time when meal planning could be you're making this meal today, double the recipe, and go to the Dollar Tree, buy some containers and pack 2 or 3 servings of that so that you'll have 3 meals ready for the rest of the week. It's as simple as that for meal planning.
Yeah. I love that. What are some other, I think, things that we can do to eat healthier? I love the meal planning. What else?
Some of the things that I like to tell people to do is what is it that you like? Do you like what kind of fruit or vegetable do you like? Do you like broccoli? If you like broccoli, eat it every night. I tell people you can have butter. You can have butter on your broccoli. It's not like it's okay. Like unless you're suffering from like some type of disclaimer, y'all. I'm not telling everybody to take a piece of butter and put it on their 2 pieces of broccoli. That's not what I'm saying. But butter is a healthier fat, like Beth said earlier. That does help satiate you. So if I'll put another caveat in there. You can have that broccoli with the butter, but just don't eat any rice with that meal. Eat your chicken and the carb. If you do eat that rice, eat half a cup. Take a measuring cup and eat half a cup so you can get yourself used to what portion size is it.
Well, also let's make it known too that your body does need some saturated fat, right? We can't
Absolutely.
exclude it all, altogether. So is it like 5 to 10% of your daily caloric intake? Just depending. So we do need some. So like you said, Kelly, with the butter, like it's okay. Don't freak out.
Same with salt and sodium.
Yes.
Right. You
Mhm.
can have it. You can have
Some
it.
of that.
It's
Like
like
people
you
really
We
try
just
to
we
be
just put
like,
the whole bottle of salt on the
Right.
and the quickest way to get to those, like going past those barriers, is to eat processed foods and to eat out.
Yes.
It's the quickest way to get too much of it. But it's like you still want some. You want to enjoy your food. It's just doing it in moderation to where it's
Right.
not over, excess.
Right.
So as we sit here and I hear us talk about nutrition education, portion sizes, portion control, broccoli, rice, I got it. I'm well aware. What about the people, the person, the population that can have all of that available and still move towards the pizza, the chips, and I think that a level of education,
Yeah.
the level of education has to happen, and I don't mean don't eat this, eat that. Well, a diagram. When you eat this, this is what happens over time to your arteries. When you eat that, this is what happens over time to your heart. Right? This is a diseased heart. And it's covered in fat. You see and it's actually kind of yellow and brown. So if this heart is covered in yellow and brown stuff, that's fat. And why is this important? This is important because this fat can choke out your heart, layman's terms, right? So basically, when you have the education, when you tell people, okay, I want you to eat this, not that, and they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. Like, why? It's because why? Because this is offered here, this is offered there. I can just walk down the street and get this.
Right.
Okay. And I said, so I think, a level of education and explanation needs to go along with eat this, not that. Go down the outside aisles, less through the, middle aisles of the stores. Here's why, and when I've done that, I've had, better success.
Right.
With
And I do want to.
with moderation of
Right.
lemon pepper wets. Forgive me, y'all. I'm on Atlanta. I'm on
No, this is
the
great.
alien.
Hey, that's what we're here for. We're here for talking.
Yeah. I want to get to one of the questions that came in through the chat, but I did want to mention, because I love what all of you all mentioned, was that we do need the sodium, we do need the saturated fat. We want people to understand that sodium is a normal part of heart functioning, muscle functioning. I mean, just balance in your body. Fat is needed for our cells, our brain.
Yes.
So we do need these things. We just need the right forms of them, and we need them in certain moderation. So, Kelly, did you have any questions from the audience?
Yes, I actually have 3 questions. The first one comes from Miss Brenda Chambers. She says, how do we teach the next generation about this, as far as the next generation, their cooking methods? I think that's what she was asking.
I have something
I
because
think we all do.
I remember, and you all may say this as well, but I remember I had it in school, but I don't think it's in most schools anymore. Why do we not have home ec in school?
We have home. They had home ec like in my high school, and
Okay, I know a lot of schools got rid of it, but that right there, if you can't be taught in the home, you can be taught at school. That needs to be in every single school. And we need to, and also focus on home ec in a healthy meal, type of way as well.
Yeah, it definitely starts with like the parent somehow, or a relative or close people who actually incorporate preparing meals every day. And I know, and it's become such not the popular thing to do, that like so many people don't do it, but it's like it's just important, like especially if you're having children or you got some young folks coming through, like you want to make sure you somehow implement that, at least get them tasting fruits, get them tasting and acclimated to real tasting food. I've noticed some people who are so used to the processed sugar that tasting like a real fruit is like kind of different. So it's like starting that young, the fruits and the vegetables and making them taste good, because they can taste good. Like it, but it's just acclimating that at a young age.
Yes.
Right, right.
Well, too, it's a matter of getting old grandma's old cookbook out. Those recipes that's just been sitting there, and I mean, the internet's your friend too. A lot of, I think, was it Beth that touched on this about the education piece? So I think it starts there, and then there has to be some discipline, right? There has to be discipline, because if you don't have that, you're not going to fully engage in it. And once you are fully engaged, then you bring the children in, or whoever who's around you in your circle and your family. Get them involved. I think it could be it could be good for relationships, building relationships, confidence, things like that. But once you do that, and make it a routine, once or twice a week, hey, come, in the kitchen, we're going to make this, plan it out, make it fun. But it has to be discipline. And I think it starts there. And once it's, you get it going, it's a routine, like I said. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is, under wellness, right? Because I think there has to be some level of wellness for you to want to eat better. There has to be some level of self-awareness as to I'm eating this and this is causing this. So there has to be some level of self-awareness of what you're eating that's not good for you and where you don't want to be, right? And I run into that over the years. A lot of people, they know where they don't want to be, but the discipline to go to where they want to be, it's hard. The waters are very murky, right? So health and wellness, they have to sing a song. They have to go together. They have to have 16 bars, because if they don't, then it's an uphill battle for the person that is not necessarily educated,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, how many, going back a couple generations, maybe a generation before us or two, how many of the men did not like going to the doctor? I know from my personal experience, my grandfather didn't like going to the doctor too much, and that goes to say, a lot of these diseases that we talk about are more prevalent in Black males. Why is that? A lot of that reason is, we don't want to go to the doctor. We've been taught, oh, we'll be okay, it'll pass. We got to pay attention to our bodies a little more, and the body's needs. So,
Right.
and that that can lead into the eating piece. What do I need to be eating to fix this or to manage this?
That's right. So one thing that I want to get into also is the risk factors for heart disease. And I mean, I feel we've talked about a lot of different interventions and things like that, but I kind of want to break it down specifically. So we know risk factors for heart disease include things like obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and insulin resistance, and metabolic syndrome. We also know that African Americans are leading the pack in these risk factors. Why is that? For each of them individually. Maybe we can start with obesity. Why are we leading the pack in obesity?
Well, definitely, we've definitely touched on the SAD diet, but we haven't yet touched on the anxiety, the depression,
Absolutely.
just the higher, the stress
Yes.
seems to run higher in our community. And I think that coupled with the diet is just like you're setting yourself up,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. A lot of times too, when we go to funerals and, we go to anything that either celebrates or, commemorates somebody, we're eating. What are we eating? the way I grew up, fried chicken, the
Mhm.
mashed potatoes, the greens, the cornbread, the traditional Southern, cuisine.
Mhm.
And those are we tie eating into emotion a lot,
Mhm. Mhm.
and going back to what Henry was saying about the comfort foods, or Henry, did you say that? Sorry. But yeah, it's those comfort foods, and I don't know, it's hard to break that cycle,
Mhm.
especially with the tradition and it's being passed down.
And
That's,
that's true. And Michaela, you were saying about the anxiety and
mm-hmm,
the depression.
mm-hmm,
And those things can cause chemical imbalances. So where if
Mhm.
chemical is imbalanced, it means your hormones are imbalanced. So guess what? The pint of ice cream may act differently on me,
Mhm.
with me, than someone else who has a chemical or hormonal
Mhm.
imbalance. So there's
Mhm.
that, right? There's that piece. And so proper education along with the way our body works, I do believe, because I don't really believe, you know, people know how their body actually works.
Mhm.
You know, everything is synergy. It's mind muscle control.
Mhm.
It's gut brain axis. It's all this stuff that's going on when you eat the Snickers.
Mhm.
Right.
It's a lot of stuff going on, right? It's a lot of stuff going on when we eat certain foods. Certain foods can affect other people that then affect other people just because of their metabolism, just because of their genetic makeup. There's just
Mhm.
because of so I think proper education and understanding and people understanding how these foods react to their body,
Mhm.
right? Is key because of course everyone knows, well, you guys know, I don't know if everyone knows out in the Facebook world, but I'm vegan. And so basically things kind of hit different with me because my palate is very different. I want to understand that cauliflower is cauliflower. I don't want any wings that taste like chicken wings. But that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
want any barbecue cauliflower. I just don't because I've never had barbecue chicken. Right, right. So you tend to go more towards what you know, and if what you know is debilitating you and crippling you, then what's the recourse? Because that sets into
Mhm.
this psychological dysfunction. I went off on a tangent, but you
No.
understand what I'm saying, though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the foods that are harmful to some may not be harmful to others, which is why people still eat them.
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
you mentioned obesity. Well, obesity could be a person that is 150 pounds and that's 5'3"
Right.
ish,
Right.
right?
mm-hmm,
Because technically, obesity, is over fat. So someone that has 150 pounds may not understand that they may be obese because they're a size 32.
mm-hmm,
Right, right. And we've seen those people succumb to heart disease as well because you have an abundance of fat tissue.
mm-hmm,
So,
Yeah.
so, so, so sometimes it's much more education in the actualization of menu and diet control and those
Mhm.
different types of moods that go along and associated with eating.
Mhm. Yeah. I do like that you had mentioned the genetic aspect of it too, because definitely we overeat, but there's also that tendency, like I was reading something where if you have, relatives who are overweight, you are predisposed to also have more fat cells. So
Mhm.
that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be fat, but you can get there easier, I guess. And they don't ever go, even if you lose weight, it doesn't go away. So it's even more important for you to be in balance with like what you're eating and whatnot. But the cool thing about fat cells is they release, what is it, leptin, which tells your body to stop eating.
mm-hmm.
But people who are obese happen to somehow override that. So
Mhm.
it's like that's when the hormonal imbalances and stuff kick in with
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that leads right into the insulin resistance right there. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, the insulin is just it regulates our blood sugar. And
Mm-hmm.
if we're consuming too much, that insulin production seems to increase, and your body's not able to keep up. So it keeps the insulin is telling I have to, or the body's telling the pancreas to produce more insulin,
Yeah.
and then sooner or later your cells are going to stop responding because it's
Mm-hmm.
too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what does that lead to? Insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, diabetes. And fun, I mean, not a fun fact because I don't like, but one in, let's see, it was 84 million people in the United States are pre-diabetic. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah. I like stats.
Yeah.
That equates to one out of every three people, or
Mm-hmm.
every one out of every three adults
Mm-hmm.
over the ages of 18 and older.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something to think about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I like to get my facts from CDC, AHA, the articles we read, all the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the
Many.
many articles and case studies that we read. But
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I pay attention to those things because it tells a story. What are we doing? And if these are our statistics, there you go. It tells us what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
what is it? One grocery store for every 5 to 6 fast food restaurants? Is that right?
I can
That's
believe it.
right.
I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm
That
just
is
like, wow,
crazy.
yeah.
That's right. That sounds right.
And it might not seem like a lot, in a small group, but if you multiply that,
Hmm.
5 grocery stores, 25 fast food restaurants, I mean, that adds up. And
Yeah.
just think about that across the country.
Yeah.
And Philip, when you talk about insulin resistance, it also got me thinking. So we started with obesity, we went to insulin resistance. I remember one thing that we learned in our program is that there's a link between
Mm-hmm.
insulin resistance and hypertension as
Mm-hmm.
well. And we
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
learned about how insulin, can increase the salt and water retention, which
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, increases blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't think most people think of diabetes and hypertension or insulin resistance and hypertension as linked, but I mean, it clearly is.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, what are your thoughts on hypertension and, why is that so prevalent in our community?
Interestingly enough, when I was looking at the statistics regarding hypertension, the statistics show that African Americans or people of African descent have a higher incidence of developing hypertension at a younger age than anyone who's non black or
Mhm,
non-black. And so I'm not sure what the link is. So I'm wondering, is it something that's in our melanin that's causing us to have increased incidence of hypertension? Another thing I think that we do not need to neglect are the social determinants of health. And
mhm,
so many times I can't say that the majority. A lot of times people make it seem like, oh, the majority of the black community is in the ghetto, and that like we're in the hood. I mean, we're not. You know what I'm
No.
saying? Because according to blackdemographics.com, when I was looking up some demographics today, only 20% of African American families are actually below the poverty line.
mhm.
And that's not to say that people who are living a livable wage or like lower middle income, that's just saying that they're not at the poverty level. And so we can't neglect the fact that stress, and I think Michaela she brought it all the way home when she was talking about anxiety, stress. It's been shown, studies have shown when you have a good family unit. When you have a good support system, that's linked to having positive health outcomes. When you have a good family support system, it decreases your level of stress. So think about your friends, or I was hearing some feedback. Think about if you have a good group of friends, how
Yeah, it's a
you.
little bit of feedback.
Mhm. Hello. Okay, I'm sorry. Like if you have a good group of friends, how you can get through an issue of life better than if you had to navigate through it alone. And you think about people who are single parents, people who are blue collar workers. You think about the whole COVID-19 pandemic. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the essential workers, they say, were of African American descent. So here they are navigating through a pandemic. They might be a single parent. They're trying to take care of their family, and they're trying to take care of whoever it is that they're taking care of, whether they be a bus driver, a grocery store worker, even a doctor. It's still a level of stress that they have. And so increased stress to me is, I feel like, aside from the sad diet,
Yeah.
is probably one of the most causative agents of hypertension.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm getting a little feedback as well. Um, the cortisol, stress hormone.
Say that one more time.
I'm getting a little feedback. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, you said cortisol, right?
Cortisol. Yeah. So, okay, so someone correct me if I'm wrong. The higher the cortisol, the higher the aldosterone. The aldosterone actually controls the blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so cortisol, stress, you spoke on stress, Kelly. So I think that at the end of the day, chicken or the egg, which one was first?
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and with hypertension being so silent at times with the people, I do believe that that could be the person.
Right. And it's funny you mentioned cortisol because one of the things I was thinking about before you said it was how stress just in general causes us to eat more physiologically, and cortisol is the reason for that.
Hmm.
Um,
It's like a vicious cycle, huh, Henry?
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's easier said than done to reduce our stress,
Mm.
but it's so key. And I don't think until we started this nutrition program that I really understood how detrimental stress really is to our health.
Mhm.
I think I always thought it was about food or just not exercising, but
Yeah, working out, right? Exercise.
yeah,
Hmm.
I heard someone say, I think it was AJ Johnson, actress AJ Johnson, who was also a life coach. I think she said one time you could eat right, you could exercise, but if you are stressed out and you have a lot of anxiety, your health is going to plummet. Okay. So stress is a huge thing as it relates to overall health and especially heart health. Okay. What about metabolic syndrome? I mean, that's something that kind of encompasses everything we've been talking about. How does that contribute? Michaela?
Well, I did want to say I ran across an interesting stat
Mhm.
that said that insulin resistance is the number one like key factor of
Mhm.
metabolic syndrome. And so that
Mm.
it kind of sets off the whole chain of events of, the hypertension, the high cholesterol, um, the high triglycerides, and obesity, and so it kind of like kicks it off. And insulin resistance obviously isn't it's not yet diabetes or anything, but it's like a precursor to it. And because our world and our meals are so excessive in the sugars and the starches, and then also you add on the stress, the cortisol and whatnot. I mean, your insulin is going to constantly be, affected by that. Another one I want to talk about is eating too often. I feel like people eat too much during the day. Like you don't give yourself a period to where your insulin can kind of reset itself. It kind of constantly is spiking, and sometimes it just stays high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you have to give it a rest period, and that's what they
Right.
talk about intermittent fasting and whatnot.
But Michaela, I think that you bring up a great point, because I feel like that goes into that whole, how a lot of our clients in our case studies say like, oh, misinformation about nutrition. I feel like people have been told that, you need to have 3 meals a day. You need to snack in between breakfast and lunch, snack in between lunch and dinner. And that goes into that whole eating all day thing. What's a better approach?
My favorite quote is, oh shoot, now I'm losing it. A perfect rule of thumb is to eat with the sun. So when it's nighttime, like cut it out, and that's your fast. And so when you wake up in the morning, I mean, people's work schedules are all over the place, but generally you want to eat when the sun's out, when you're burning, when you're moving, at night. Like I know people who like ice cream right before dinner. I mean, right before bedtime. That's a no-no. Like it'll simply, like, just by doing that fast overnight, like it will really make a big difference. I've noticed in a lot of people.
We have something here. Doctors tell you to eat about 8 times a day. What is the correct amount?
No, they don't. They better not.
Yeah,
Who's doctor saying
we might
that?
need to find a new doctor, but don't tell them I said that.
I mean, everybody's needs is different. There's no,
8
there's
times
no
though?
one right answer. So just depends. Are they Michael Phelps? Are they somebody who's sedentary? I
You're an
mean,
athlete, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's
Energy output is something that a lot of people don't take into account. Metabolism, muscle mass, is something that people don't take into account. But when you don't know, you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Some people are on a seafood diet, and I don't mean fish. They see food, they want it. Right. So, I see it, I want it, and then I'm supposed to have it because I saw it. And we're driving past this, fast food. I'm going to stop here and get this, get that. You just ate. Like what? I mean, so that's something that they're learned behaviors, right? They're just learned behaviors that I think that we've adopted over years. Baby boomers. What do we call what the baby boomers kids? What are we?
Gen X and then millennial.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, somewhere in there, like you said, there's not enough time. So the fast food is gotten, okay, because you got to pick up the kids from the daycare or the after school program. And then there's you're rushing home, you're doing this. So it's a learned behavior. You only get 30 to 40 minutes of lunch. You got to go somewhere off campus or off, what do you call it? The job site to get lunch. You're coming back. What's there? You can't, unless you bringing stuff back from home, prep cook or bulk cook, whatever you have. People are actually, I think the people that are trying are doing the very best that they can. The people that are really not trying, I think it's a lack of education, and I think it's a lack of understanding as well.
Yeah, I think, we need to do better at prioritizing our health instead of, and if you look at it as a whole, what's the main purpose of living, right? Like what are we here for? Everything else, the cars, the clothes, the shoes, the jewelry, whatever it is, the phones, that's all stuff to make us comfortable. But what are we actually here for, right? Reproduction, so the world goes on, right? So if we don't take care of our health, right, it makes it harder to do that. Especially if we're, dying at an early age. We just have to do a better job at prioritizing. And that goes back to the discipline piece. If it's important enough to you, then you have to make time for it. And health is everything. You have to make time for it. So
health is wealth.
Right. About metabolic syndrome, you have to meet the 3 or 5 criteria in order to be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, and then everything that y'all talked about, like food wise. food wise, we need to prioritize our health and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like this question. Is this a
Yeah, what can one do to help reduce hypertension? Is that the one you're looking at?
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that question.
Yeah. What can we do?
There's actually a lot that you can do to reduce hypertension. One of the first things that you can do is take the salt shaker off of the table. One of the Another thing that you can do is be mindful of, I'll say, be mindful of a couple of things: how the things you eat make you feel, and also how the situations in life make you feel in your body as well. And do you get the same symptoms where you know that your blood pressure is elevated in those areas? Another thing that you can do, which is one of the first things that I'll recommend. I know I said the first thing was taking the salt shaker off, but changing your diet, or I'll say adding nutrition to your dietary pattern. So anything that has a beautiful color, that's a fruit or a vegetable, is something that's full of antioxidants. So you have your polyphenols, your carotenoids, your all of those different things that have color. But whatever makes the fruit or the vegetables colorful is what is going to reduce the inflammation in your body. Hypertension is linked to inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to reduce that. So one way you can reduce that is by adding in those antioxidants into your diet. There's also different things that you can do supplement wise that you can add into your diet that can change the way that you your hypertension. It could reduce your hypertension. Now, I'm not a fan for, hey, just take this supplement and it's going to be the thing that's going to cure you. My main thing that I want you to do is a dietary intervention, and I'll say the textbook dietary pattern for reducing hypertension is called the DASH diet. That's the DASH diet. It's a diet that has the very boring name. It's like the most boring named diet, I think, in the world, which it's just dietary approaches to stop hypertension. And that dietary pattern just emphasizes eating leafy greens, eating fruits and vegetables, eating whole grains, lean meats, and low fat dairy products. So, and you have to eat a lot of it. Like there's a lot of servings that you have to have during the day. And that dietary pattern has actually been linked to reducing hypertension in study participants. So I'm always going to tell you, food first. What is it that you're eating, and how does that make you feel? And I always share the story where I ate a Whopper from Burger King and had right here in the spot, y'all, because I just had to have this Whopper because I had a taste for a Whopper. And I was like, oh, it's just going to be so good, the Whopper. And it's been months since I had the Whopper. I ate that Whopper, y'all. I had high blood pressure, I know, for 10 minutes. I was sitting here thinking that
for 10 minutes.
I had it was 10 minutes. I'm at the refrigerator with my cup, filling it up with water, trying to open up my artery. Like, it was just crazy. I felt like a band had been it felt like somebody had put a band around my forehead and was pulling it. And I was like, oh my gosh.
So what did you do to tell people? Because we're all in that situation at times. What do you do in that situation? You said something about water.
I drank water. That's the first thing that I did. I just sat here calmly and tried to calm myself, because I was like, if you get stressed out, you're going to get your blood pressure is going to raise up higher. And another thing that I did was never ate a Whopper again, because I said, who wants to feel that way?
Right.
That's the main thing that I did. I'm never going to eat this again.
Yeah.
Never in my life. Lesson learned.
Yeah. I want to emphasize the power of water. We need water for every function in the body, including blood pressure. So water is one way to
always
body exclude
it says
that excess salt.
It says 50 to 64 ounces of water a day.
Absolutely.
So like I tell my clients, pressure is pressure. Water pressure in, pressure down, water out.
Right.
That's it. Pressure is pressure. Right. High blood pressure is not just this special type of pressure. Well, it really is, but it's just pressure. Pressure in, pressure out, right? And so it when you give visualizations to people, they're like, oh, okay, got it.
That's right.
And
Some
then
people also
also,
mention things like, "Oh, eat a banana." I've seen that in several sources because bananas are, a good source of potassium, which can help excrete that excess
Yes.
sodium
Mm-hmm.
from your body. So, really, it doesn't have to be a banana if you don't like bananas. Anything with potassium, avocado,
Right.
greens,
Apricots.
apricots, coconut water,
Yep.
any of that kind of
Well,
stuff.
that's one of the things too we see so commonly in these case studies that mostly everyone's dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
They're not drinking enough water,
Right.
and
Right.
that leads to a lot of issues. From there you get XYZ. And everybody's water needs are different. Depending on if you're an athlete, if you're someone who only does moderate physical activity, sedentary. I mean, it just depends on the activity level. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there for everyone. 64 ounces is a good baseline. I think everyone should reach for that. But then your needs might be more if depending on your activities.
Right, because there's extracellular and there's intracellular water. I mean, we pass it back and forth, and we need to stay hydrated for bodily functions as well.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know, oh, I have a headache. Well, have you had some water?
Right.
Oh, I'm bloated. Okay, have you had water?
Right.
I mean, hey.
Yeah.
And don't forget, the blood is made out of what, 90%? I mean, it's like 80%
Mercy.
water. Like,
Water, yeah.
you
I
gotta
think there's a question down in the lower portion of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says, how do you portion your plate for someone who's new to wanting to eat healthy?
That's a great question.
Shanice Graham. Yeah. Anybody want to go for that one?
I could say that what I tell, I know we tell people to measure their food and this, that, and the other. Me personally, I don't have a scale in my kitchen. I don't. So what I do is I tell people usually let your vegetable portion be bigger than your starch portion and let your meat portion be no bigger than the palm of your hand. And so that's what I typically tell people. And I feel like if you want to eat a whole lot of fruit, well, a whole lot of vegetables, then fill half of your plate up with vegetables. Like your vegetables is a carbohydrate. So when I say I want half of the plate or more filled up with carbohydrates, I'm not saying like half a plate of rice, but I want you to have a whole lot of vegetables. So vegetables first. And also there is a resource called My Plate by the USDA where they do have, what is it, myplate.gov, I guess it is. And it actually has a layout of a plate that you can use in order to figure out what your serving sizes are. I feel a little conflicted with the My Plate diagram, honestly, but because it has fruit juice, it has milk at every meal, and like to me, it's just a lot.
Well, another good resource too is one I like to use a lot is USDA dietary guidelines. I know it's a pretty large. It's a free download. But it's fairly large. But if you scroll all the way down to the last maybe 10 to 20 pages, you'll find, servings in there based off week, based off day, just depending on your caloric needs. So I hope that helps a little bit. Oh, and one more question. Kelly, did you mention carbs? You mentioned carbohydrates, I heard.
I did, but
So I have a question for those watching. What's one of the most beneficial carbs to battling insulin resistance and diabetes? Probably the most beneficial carb. That's for the audience. That's not for us. Let it see who can get it.
Okay.
So far, we have no takers.
You might have to educate them, Philip.
Well, all right. So when we talk about carbohydrates, right? We want to include fiber in there. Fiber. And that goes along with the vegetables and the fruits. So a lot of times we get caught up in we need to stay away from those carbohydrates, right? Carbohydrates are bad. We don't want to get into that loop. So we want to differentiate what carbohydrates are, right? You have added sugar, you have naturally occurring sugars, things like that, fiber. So fiber, you can find that in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds. I mean, did I say whole grains already? Yeah. Foods like that. So we want to fill, and when we talk about the plate size, we want to fill half that plate with vegetables, because that we need that fiber. Not a lot of us, say people, get enough fiber as well, or the right kind of fiber, the soluble and insoluble. So right, we don't want the fiber from the the boxed crackers and boxed whatever it is, the
All
box
the packaged
goodies.
items, yeah.
Right, the packaged items, right? Because there's fiber in there too, but is that the fiber that we need?
And they'll tell you too, high in fiber.
Right.
Right.
Heart healthy.
Right. We got to be careful of those labels. So yeah, good thing Kelly mentioning half the plate. That's how when I got into nutrition, that was a good rule of thumb for me, is fill half that plate up with vegetables. Because normally when you eat out, what are you looking at first? You're looking at that steak first. I want that. That's the main attraction right there. It's that steak or that fish or that that animal protein. And then they give you a little side of vegetables like that big, like
If that,
right? So how much fiber are we missing out on? We're missing out on that.
And I wanted to add too, like just visually looking at your plate, like what colors are on the plate.
Right.
I'll notice a lot of people just I call it a dead plate, where it's all yellow or all brown. There's no green, purple, red, orange, yellow, and those are what you want pretty much at every meal. I always say it doesn't have to be, extravagant, but put it in with everything you eat, if you can, and that like you were saying, the nuts, the seeds, the fruits, the vegetables. I like to start the morning off with some kind of a fruit or a fiber or something to kind of get the stomach going, and it's feeling good, and then you put in what you got going on next. But
and those are easier things to do, especially when you're short on time in the morning. You can blend up that smoothie and throw some nuts, seeds, fruits, even some vegetables. Vegetables can go in smoothies. And you can get that fiber and your protein in the morning. So,
one thing I want to add about fiber is that it's the one thing that'll cut down on the high glucose, the insulin, because the fiber going through the intestinal tract literally pulls out like excess estrogen, excess sugar, or at least slows down the
process
of the sugar, right? And so it's so important to have that with your meals, the fiber source.
Right. And two, it's important to look at those nutrition labels. Make it a habit to turn that box or container around, whatever you're buying, and look at those nutrition labels. Don't look at the front. Don't look at the gluten-free and low fat and low. Turn it around and do some reading. Right. Know what you're getting.
I think I'm glad you said that, Philip, because a general rule of thumb that we learned about was the levels of processing of food. So when you have 5 or more ingredients, like you said, turn over that box and look at the ingredients list. If you see 5 or more ingredients, it's probably very highly processed. It's probably a bunch of stuff you can't pronounce. And if you can't pronounce it, you should eat it. Okay. You should not eat anything that you can't pronounce. And a lot of those things, from my readings, is what's causing insulin resistance. You see things like high fructose corn syrup.
Oh yeah.
Trans fat, xanthan gum, and like just all these different
Yeah.
things are all linked to insulin resistance, which we just talked about is linked to everything else: hypertension, heart disease, everything. So eat, Dr. Mark Hyme, he's a functional medicine doctor. He always talks about eating real food. When you eat real food, food that only has one ingredient, then you don't have to worry about this whole, oh, eat low carb or eat low fat or eat this, that, and the other. You don't have to worry about that. Just eat food that naturally existed, that God created. And then most of your issues will actually be, they won't be issues.
Right. Well, it's not as easy for some.
It's not.
Let's just clarify, yeah, because we all want that same end result. But you have to start somewhere, right? And I agree with Henry. The less ingredients in the product you're eating, natural ingredients.
Right. I would say it depends on what the ingredients
right.
are.
It depends on what the ingredients are. But like you said, when you see things in there that have all 26 letters of the alphabet in there, you got to pay a little more attention to that.
Yeah.
I saw a question before this one about some cabbage, onion, and broccoli.
It was about how to reduce gas with eating those foods.
Oh, okay. Those vegetables, if I'm not mistaken, it's the cruciferous vegetables release. That's my thinking. I'm thinking. No, cruciferous vegetables. They release this this sugar. This sugar that allows you to bloat in the digesting process. Right? It's called come on, B. Come on. Ravenose. There we go. So it's a sugar. And the lag time between that fermentation of the sugar and the digestion, it causes you to bloat. So basically, you probably would want to season those foods with like a carminative, like spices and herbs that actually help aid digestion. You get what I'm saying?
Spices, definitely. Yep.
Yeah, you probably want to do that.
Also cooking, the vegetables, sauteing, if there are any beans or anything like that, they're eating, soaking them beforehand. I think any type of preparation you're doing with water or cooking that you're doing with water in these foods is going to reduce the amount of gas that's produced. So eating them raw is probably more so when you're getting the gas than when they're cooked. So if that helps. I think there was another question on there too. Okay.
Fiber supplements, yeah.
I think we had a case study client who we recommended, was it the psyllium fiber to not too long ago. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on the fiber supplement, for me, all things considered, I would ask about the water intake. I would ask about the dietary patterns. I would ask about other things before I would do the psyllium husk or the fiber supplements, because there's something that's impeded or impacted that we need to figure out.
Especially the water part, that
yes.
the thing, if you're asking about fiber supplements from like a bowel movement perspective, water, a lot of times being low in magnesium, which most people we find are low in magnesium, is also going to cause constipation and things like that. So definitely getting fiber from food, drinking the water, and magnesium are huge before the supplements. Any other thoughts?
Just as far as natural fiber goes, as when you're looking on that nutrition facts panel, look at the dietary fiber part and just see how many grams is in that. And you'll get like this is a bag of pistachios, and a certain amount has 3 grams of fiber or whatever. You need women need about 25 grams, men about 30 grams of fiber a day. And so if you're eating, real foods, and if you got, nuts and like seaweed, or you can even Google like how much fiber is in one banana, or how much fiber, and And you add that together at the end of the day, and you easily have, 25 grams of fiber. As far as the supplements, I just prefer trying to get them through food first.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I'm sorry, who's that? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, I'm done.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, food first approach, make sure everything else is clicking. Your water intake is up, your fruit and vegetable intake is up, your whole grains, oats, nuts, seeds, things like that. And if that's not working, then we have to maybe move to the next level or the next method, which may be supplementation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know a lot of our society, we like um, the magic. We like things to be fixed quickly.
Yeah.
And, sometimes, things like this take time. And you have to be patient with yourself. You have to, go through the steps, as with most things. So, yeah, food first, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We have this next question. In processed food, what is considered high sodium? That's a real good question.
I feel like, well, let's break down processed food first of all. All of the food in the grocery store, y'all, is processed. So those apples that you see in the produce section had to be picked from a tree. They had to go into a place to get washed and then coated with wax if you're eating a non-organic apple. Like, so every food that you have in the grocery store is processed, even the fresh vegetables that are chopped and in a bag that are easily steamable. They went through a process of being chopped and put in the bag. That's a process. So for me, when I think of a processed food that's high in sodium, the main thing I think about is the first thing I think about is canned foods, and then I think about frozen foods. High sodium for me, I don't know what the technical term, I guess we should know this, or I should know this as a nutrition student, but I'm not going to, front like I do know. But what I will say is anything that's saying that it is greater than, if I'm eating a frozen dinner, and if it's saying that I'm going to get 25% of my sodium from this 1 cup of food in this frozen dinner, then that's high in sodium. If I eat 1 serving size of potato chips and it's going to give me 13% of my sodium for the day, to me, that's high in sodium. However, if I have some salad dressing and it's just going to give me 3% of my daily sodium intake, I would say that that's on the lower sodium end. So anything to me, even bacon, even low sodium bacon is high in sodium for me. The lowest sodium bacon that I've been able to find, regular pork bacon, is about 10% of the daily intake of sodium.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's your meats that are, I guess, your high processed meats with nitrates, your hot dogs, your sausage, your bacon.
Even lunch meat. Did
Yes.
you say lunch meat? Yeah.
No, I didn't say lunch meat, but yes, lunch meat, because even low sodium lunch meat has a lot of sodium.
It's still high in sodium, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then when you look at it compared to regular lunch meat, it's like, I can't believe that there's so much sodium in. It's probably like 2 slices of lunch meat. It's probably 1 serving. So anything that, I can't say what the actual number is, but what I'm saying is that if I'm going to get more than 8% from eating 1/4 of a cup of this thing, that's high sodium.
Mm-hmm. And it's really important, like you mentioned, Kelly, to look at the serving size, because if it's saying on the back, 13%, and you eat that whole can, if it's saying no, half a can is 13%, you eat the whole can, you get more than that. So you got to really pay attention to what the nutrition label is telling you. And if you all have questions, please reach out to any of us outside of this. We can teach you how to read one.
That's a good point, Henry. I mean, a lot of the containers, serving size, 2.5 or 3.5, whatever it
Mhm.
is. There's always that half, right?
Right. Right.
Right. Yeah, do the math on that. But yeah, and a bag of anything might be, just enough for you to feel full at the moment, but it might be 3 servings in there.
And who eats 17 chips? Like, who's going to count?
Right. 17.
Because once you
I
get
mean, for
started,
real. It's
Yeah.
like, and then you look and people, oh, that's the bag. So, and then you say, oh my goodness, this was like 600 milligrams of sodium, and I only had a half a bag of, oof, yeah, that's not good.
right.
We have a question.
Ooh, Himalayan salt, sea salt. Um, I want to say this on this because if you're gonna when you use salt, I think that Himalayan even more so than sea salt, but sea salt's good too. I think is better because it has more of the nutrients or the minerals in it that you need, as opposed to like table salt, iodized salt. So I always suggest people to go on and switch out to a pink Himalayan salt,
Mm,
and when you're cooking your foods and whatnot,
good to know. Good to know.
instead of what we have to. Yeah.
Any other thoughts? I think we have a few more minutes. Any other questions come through, Kelly?
No other questions, just comments for the
Okay.
most part.
Any good comments to share?
Let's see. Somebody said that they would hire you, to Henry.
Hey, let's go.
That was Miss Walker, Miss Renee Walker.
Oh, thank you, Miss
I
Renee Walker.
I did
I
want
know.
to share like a couple of stats just so folks could get an
Mhm.
idea of obesity in the Black community, and
Mhm.
obesity, as we know, is so linked to a lot of our metabolic syndromes and whatnot. So 80% of Black women, that's 4 out of 5 Black women, are considered overweight or obese. 70% of Black men are considered overweight and obese. And as far as children go, we have 24% of Black female children and 15% of Black female males. Black males are considered overweight or obese on the BMI, the BMI standard, which basically says, if you're at a higher risk of comorbidities and other issues, or are you at a lower risk? So it kind of gives you this range of where you sit as far as getting things such as like a COVID or a diabetes or, cardiovascular disease. So I just wanted to say like that, just seeing those stats is what really interested me in getting deeper into nutrition and
Yeah.
and really helping our community out, because that's alarming.
Yeah.
Those numbers.
Yeah.
And those numbers are alarming. I don't know if we have time, but we have to really unpack that.
Right.
If
Mhm.
if we can we come back? We have to really unpack those
Mhm.
numbers and what the BMI
Yes.
means and
Mhm.
what it means
Mhm.
and who actually started the BMI.
Good topic for next time, huh?
Yes.
Right,
Right.
right, because we got to unpack all of that,
Yeah,
I
Mhm.
like it.
all of that.
Thank you.
it's a
Any other
lot.
final thoughts from anyone?
Yeah, we can do it around the room. Anyone want to go first? All right, I'll go since I'm talking. Well, it's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this. I was really looking forward to this since Kelly announced this. And thank you, Kelly, for getting us all together. We really appreciate it. Um, I'll just leave it with this. This is a emotional topic for me. I lost my grandmother to colon cancer,
Mhm.
and that I was 16 years old. I'm 47, so it was a long time. Still stings. But me getting into nutrition, I said to myself, I'm not gonna let this happen. If I had the power to, I'm gonna spread my knowledge that I've learned, and I'm gonna help people. as much as I can, because I don't, it's a sad thing. You know, disease is a sad thing. And if we can help it, I want to do that. So, but yeah, I don't want to bring everybody's mood down, but it's important. So invest in yourselves, make your health a priority. It has to be a priority so you can be a better you and you can be a better you for other people. And those are my final thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want to say, like, that was awesome, Phil, when you said invest in yourself, because I think a lot of times, as I could speak for being a Black woman, sometimes we feel like we have to be the savior of the world. You look at a lot of movies, a lot of times people say, I'm not, going to get a whole lot into race or whatever, but that there's always like a white savior in the movie. But you think about movies like The Help. Who was it that helped the main character believe in herself? A lot of movies, it's always almost like, as a Black woman, we hold the world on our shoulders. We support our families. We support them financially, emotionally. And so a lot of times there's not a lot of care that's taken into our own self-care. And so, especially stress and how it's linked to hypertension, I really, really, really admonish people to take some time and self-care yourself. I mean, I don't know, self-care yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. There is nobody that is running to your house with a trophy saying, yes, girl, you worked 17 hours of overtime this week. Yes, girl, you just gave somebody $250 that they asked to borrow you. Yes, girl, I'm so proud of, nobody's coming with a trophy to your house to give you for you falling on your own sword. You know what I'm saying? It's like we are falling on swords that we don't have to fall on. We're dying at astronomical rates. We're not taking care of ourselves. We're not going to the doctor. You have health insurance. If you have health insurance, whether it be Medicaid or Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare, Humana, whatever it is that you have, if there's something going on with you, go to the doctor. A lot of times the disease states are found in African American people in general at a higher disease progression because we neglect ourselves sometimes as a people. And so I don't want to get on a tangent, and I don't want people to think that I'm yelling at them, but take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. I could say that coming from a place where I was in a very stressful situation at a former employer, I will never again put myself in that position to where my mental health, my physical health is going haywire, spiraling out of control, because I feel like I have to carry the weight of the world on my back. So take care of yourself. There is a link, a clinically proven link in studies, that issues with your body holding emotions. We even learned in lecture a couple of weeks ago about the liver. Like, when you are holding on to undealt with emotions, it toxifies your liver. You can't even detox your body properly because you're holding on to these emotions. So take care of yourself. Nobody is giving you a reward. I'm not giving you a reward. I'm not going to be like, yes, girl. No, I'm not doing it just because you work 17 hours of overtime. You're not getting that from me, because I want to be like, how are you not in the bed laying down? A lot of times we have these disease states in our bodies because we refuse to rest. Rest is sometimes the main thing, that water and rest. We lack those things. Water and rest can work a miracle in your life.
That's right.
So I just, not to, I don't even know why I just got worked up like that, but I just really think that people,
we needed to hear it. That's great.
Take care of themselves. And like, we feel like we do not have to be part of the struggle. That's not the life that I'm living. That's not the life that we have to live. Even whatever economic state that you have, even if you are riding the bus to work every day, if you ride past the park and you have 30 minutes before you know that you have to pick up your child from work, and you know that there's another bus coming along that you can take, get off the bus. Go sit on the park bench for 10 minutes until the next bus comes along and relax yourself. Decompress from your day. Do that for you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you very much.
I love
Whew.
it.
All
Thank
right,
you,
Kelly.
Kelly.
All right, it's hot in here.
The reason I opened with heart health being the best health is because when you take care of your heart properly, you're taking care of your mind and your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking care of your internal and your external. And what I want to leave our audience with tonight is make sure you check on yourself. You have to make sure you check on yourself because only you know where you do not want to be.
Mm-hmm.
We have like this moral constitution. I think we're born with it. But you know where you don't want to be. You be it, I don't want to be eating this ice cream late at night, but why am I doing it? Check yourself. I don't want to eat the whole pint of ice cream tonight. Check yourself, okay? I don't know why I'm on ice cream. I don't know why, and let's just I don't know why I'm eating this whole plate of food and it's not Thanksgiving or Christmas. Check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know where you want to be and you know where you don't want to be. And that's all of part of being well. That's all of part of being self-aware. That's why I open with heart health is the best health for me, in my opinion, because it encompasses the totality of the person.
The whole person, right?
The whole person. Whatever affects the mind affects the body.
Yep.
We all know how stress can cripple. Stress can disable, and stress causes dis-ease and disorders. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why heart health for me is the best health. And guys, take care of your heart because Coach B said it.
Thank you. Thank you. Crystal, did you have anything?
Just a small remark. Just like I remember like being when we were in class and we were doing case studies, and some of the clients that we had, they heard that food is fuel and food is medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree. It food is medicine. Picking the right foods to help with diet and help with lowering cardiovascular risk and everything, and then also you know don't stress yourself out. Like, they say, sit down, take time for yourself. And stress yourself out, that can also increase the risk as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So there you have it. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to the audience. And I guess stay tuned for our next one.
Yes.
All right.
Don't forget to breathe, y'all. In through your nose, out through your mouth. When you're stressed out, just relax and calm down. We're good. Get back
And
to
sunlight. Don't forget sunlight.
sunlight, water,
Get some sunlight.
breathe, deep breaths, all of that. Yeah.
That's right.
Exercise as well.
Exercise and a good diet. So thank
And
you,
reach
guys.
out to any of us if you all have questions on how. I think oftentimes we hear that we need to do these things, but we don't know how to do it. So we can definitely be of resource. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thanks.
Night.